The notification popped up on my phone at 2:47 a.m. while Tyler slept beside me. Friend request from Nathan Fitzgerald. My thumb hovered over his profile picture for just a second before I accepted. What harm could it do? We were just old friends from college, ancient history. That's what I told myself as I scrolled through his photos in the darkness of our bedroom. Nathan looked good. Really good. The years had been kind to him in a way they hadn't been to Tyler, who'd gained 40 pounds since our wedding and spent most evenings passed out on the couch by 9. The first message came through immediately. "Rachel, is it really you? I can't believe I found you after all these years." My heart did this stupid little flip that I hadn't felt in years. I glanced at Tyler, making sure he was still asleep, before typing back. "Nathan? What a surprise, how have you been?" We talked until 4 in the morning, about everything and nothing, about our college days at Ohio State, about the night we broke up in that terrible rainstorm outside his dorm, about how different our lives turned out from what we'd planned. He was divorced now, living in Columbus, working as an architect like he'd always dreamed. I told him about my life in Cincinnati, carefully editing out the parts where I felt trapped in a marriage that had become more of a roommate situation than romance. The next morning, Tyler found me exhausted at the breakfast table. "You okay?" "You look tired," he said, pouring himself coffee in his favorite mug, the one our daughter Emma had made him in pottery class. "Fine, just couldn't sleep." I didn't mention the 3 hours I'd spent messaging Nathan, or the way my phone was already buzzing with new messages from him. It became a pattern. Every morning, Nathan's messages would be waiting. "Good morning, beautiful. Hope you have an amazing day." Simple things that Tyler hadn't said to me in years. During lunch breaks, we'd exchange stories about our day. At night, after Tyler fell asleep watching sports highlights, Nathan and I would talk until the early hours. "Remember that time we drove to Lake Erie in the middle of the night just to watch the sunrise?" he messaged one evening. "How could I forget? We got caught in that storm and had to sleep in your car." "Best night of my life," he replied, "even soaking wet and freezing." "Mine too," I typed before I could stop myself. 3 weeks in, the messages shifted. "I miss you," appeared on my screen while I was sitting at Emma's soccer practice. I stared at those 3 words for 5 full minutes before responding. "I miss you too." It was true. I missed feeling wanted. I missed having someone actually listen when I talked about my day. I missed feeling like I mattered to someone beyond being the person who cooked dinner and did laundry. Tyler had stopped trying years ago. Date nights disappeared after Emma was born. Flowers only came on Valentine's Day, and even then they were grocery store bouquets grabbed last minute. When I'd tried talking to him about feeling disconnected, he'd pat my hand and promise to plan something special, then forget by the next day. Nathan remembered everything. He remembered I loved sunflowers, not roses. He remembered I took my coffee with just a splash of cream. He remembered the exact shade of lipstick I wore on our first date 15 years ago. "I think about what would have happened if we'd stayed together," he messaged one night. "We were so young," I replied. "Different people." "Were we, though?" I feel like I'm talking to the same girl who stole my heart sophomore year. "Nathan." "I know. I'm sorry. It's just, talking to you these past few weeks has made me realize what I've been missing." "I'm married," I typed, then deleted it. He knew I was married. I'd mentioned Tyler enough times, though lately those mentions had become fewer and less favorable. "Do you ever wonder?" he asked. "Wonder what?" "What it would be like. U.S. now." I did wonder, constantly, while making Tyler's favorite pot roast that he barely acknowledged, while sitting through another silent dinner where he scrolled through his phone, while lying in bed listening to him snore, remembering nights when Nathan and I would talk until dawn about our dreams and plans. "Sometimes," I admitted. "I dream about you," he confessed. "Is that wrong?" It was wrong. I knew it was wrong, but I didn't tell him to stop. Instead, I started deleting everything. The messages, the call logs, my browser history. Every night I'd clear my message history, clear my browser cache, make sure there was no trace of Nathan on my phone. I changed his name in my contacts to Nicole from work and turned off message previews. The guilt ate at me during the day, but it vanished at night when Tyler was asleep and Nathan's messages lit up my phone. This was harmless. We were just talking, just two old friends catching up. The fact that I thought about him constantly, that I'd started wearing makeup again and buying new clothes, that I'd catch myself smiling at my phone, none of that meant anything. "I need to see you," Nathan messaged one afternoon while I was grocery shopping. My heart stopped. "Nathan, we can't." "Just coffee, as friends. I have a conference in Cincinnati next week." "I don't think that's a good idea." "Please, Rachel. Just 1 hour. I need to see that you're real, that I haven't imagined these past 2 months." 2 months. Had it really been that long? 2 months of daily messages, of good morning texts and good night wishes, of sharing every detail of our days, of "I miss you" and "thinking of you," and hundreds of photos exchanged. "1 coffee," I finally agreed. "That's all." I told Tyler I was meeting my sister for lunch that Saturday. The lie came so easily it scared me. He barely looked up from his iPad, just grunted acknowledgement and reminded me that Emma had a birthday party at 3. I changed outfits 4 times that morning, finally settled on the green dress I'd bought the week before, the one that made my eyes pop. Tyler hadn't noticed it when I'd worn it to dinner, but I knew Nathan would. He was already there when I arrived at the coffee shop in Hyde Park, looking exactly like his photos, but somehow better. When he stood and pulled me into a hug, I melted. He still wore the same cologne, still had that same crooked smile that had undone me all those years ago. "You look incredible," he said, holding my hands and studying my face like he was memorizing it. "You look pretty good yourself." We talked for 3 hours. The coffee went cold, lunch came and went, and still we sat there, knees touching under the small table, hands occasionally brushing as we gestured. It felt like no time had passed. It felt like 15 years had vanished and we were back in college, young and in love and invincible. "I should go," I finally said, checking my phone. "Emma's party." "I don't want you to go." "Nathan, leave him." The words hung between us like a challenge. "Leave him and be with me." "You don't know what you're asking." "I'm asking for what we should have had, what we could still have." He took my hands across the table. "I've been divorced for 2 years, Rachel." "I've dated." "Nothing ever felt right because I was comparing everyone to you. Then I found you again, and these past 2 months, tell me you don't feel it too." I did feel it. God help me, I felt it in every cell of my body. But I also had a daughter, a mortgage, 15 years of shared history with Tyler, even if that history had grown stale. "I need time to think." "I'll wait," he said. "I've waited 15 years. I can wait a little longer." I floated home in a daze. Tyler was napping on the couch when I arrived, ESPN droning in the background. Looking at him, I felt nothing. When had that happened? When had the man I'd promised to love forever become just another piece of furniture in our home? The messages intensified after that meeting. Nathan sent photos from our college days, songs that reminded him of me, long paragraphs about the life we could have together. I reciprocated, complaining more openly about Tyler, about feeling invisible in my own marriage, about wanting more than the life I'd settled for. "He doesn't deserve you," Nathan wrote. "You're extraordinary, and he treats you like you're ordinary." "Maybe I am ordinary," I replied late one night, wine making me melancholy. "Never. You could never be ordinary to me." I started fantasizing about leaving, about packing Emma up and starting over with Nathan in Columbus. He'd already looked at school districts, sent me listings for houses with big backyards and swimming pools. "We could be a family," he said. "The family we were meant to be." Tyler remained oblivious. He went to work, came home, ate dinner, watched TV, went to bed, rinse and repeat. Sometimes I'd test him, mention I was thinking about cutting my hair or that I'd joined a book club. He'd nod absently, clearly not listening. Once I told him I was thinking about taking up skydiving and he just said, "That's nice, honey." Nathan would have asked a million questions. Nathan would have cared. "I love you," Nathan messaged one night. "I never stopped loving you." My fingers trembled as I typed back. "I love you too." It was the first time I'd said it, though I'd been feeling it for weeks. Saying it made it real. Made what I was doing real. I wasn't just catching up with an old friend anymore. I was having an emotional affair, falling in love with another man while my husband slept peacefully beside me. But Tyler didn't feel like my husband anymore. He felt like a roommate I happened to share a bed with. When was the last time we'd been intimate? When was the last time he'd looked at me the way Nathan did, like I was the most beautiful woman in the world? "Run away with me," Nathan messaged. "This weekend. We'll go to Lake Erie, watch the sunrise like we used to. Figure everything out." I can't just leave. Why not? Give me one good reason. I had a dozen reasons. Emma, the house, my job, the life we'd built, but suddenly none of them seemed good enough. Not when weighed against the possibility of being happy again, of being with someone who actually saw me. "Okay," I typed before I could lose my nerve. "This weekend." "Really?" "Really. I'll tell Tyler I'm visiting my sister in Cleveland. We need to talk anyway. I can't keep living like this." "I love you so much," Nathan replied. "We're going to be so happy, Rachel. I promise." I spent the next 3 days in a frenzy of secret preparation. I arranged for Emma to spend the weekend at my mother's house. I packed a bag and hid it in my trunk. I withdrew cash so there wouldn't be a credit card trail. I was meticulous, careful, covering every track. Friday morning, I kissed Tyler goodbye like any other day. He mumbled something about working late, barely looking up from his phone. I wanted to feel guilty, but all I felt was excited. In 12 hours, I'd be with Nathan. In 12 hours, my real life would begin. I was humming as I loaded my coffee mug into the dishwasher, already mentally composing my goodbye text to Tyler, when he appeared in the kitchen doorway. "Forget something?" I asked, surprised to see him. "Yeah," he said, his voice strange. "To ask you about this." He held up my phone. My blood turned to ice. "You left it on the bathroom counter." It kept buzzing, so I looked to see if it was important. His face was completely calm, which somehow made it worse. "Nicole from work seems pretty eager to see you tonight, especially the part about watching the sunrise together." "Tyler, I can explain." "Can you? Can you explain the hundreds of messages, the I love yous, the plans to run away together?" His voice never rose above conversational level. "I read it all, Rachel. 2 months' worth, every message." My legs felt weak. "It's not... We haven't... slept together?" "I know. You made that clear when you told him you wanted your first time together again to be special." He set my phone on the counter with deliberate care. "Though I'm curious about the coffee date last Saturday." "Wasn't that when you were supposedly with your sister?" "Tyler, please, let me explain. Nathan and we have history." "Nathan Fitzgerald. I looked him up. Architect in Columbus, divorced, lives in a nice condo in the short north." Tyler's calm was unnerving. "I also called your sister, by the way. She was surprised to hear you'd been meeting her for lunch so often lately." "Our marriage has been dead for years," I said, going on the defensive. "When's the last time you told me I looked nice? When's the last time we went on a date? You don't even listen when I talk." "You're right," he said simply. "I've been a terrible husband." I got comfortable. I stopped trying. I took you for granted. He ran his hand through his hair. "But instead of talking to me, instead of counseling or therapy or literally any other option, you decided to have an affair." "It's not an affair." "We haven't even kissed." "Rachel," his voice was so tired, "you told another man you loved him." "You made plans to leave me. You've been lying for months. What would you call it?" I couldn't answer that. I already called my lawyer, he continued. Emma stays with me. You can move in with your sister until we figure things out. Or hey, maybe Nathan has room in that nice condo. You can't just kick me out. This is my house too. The house my parents helped us buy. The house that's in my name. His calm finally cracked a little. The house where you sat every night, sexting your ex-boyfriend while I slept next to you. We weren't sexting. Right. Just planning your future together, picking out houses, talking about the family you should have had. He shook his head. Did you ever think about Emma in all this? About what it would do to her? Don't you dare bring Emma into this. I'm a good mother. Who was about to run off with a man she's been secretly talking to for months? Yeah, Mother of the Year. Tyler, please, we can work this out. I'll stop talking to Nathan. We can go to counseling. Now you want counseling? Now that you're caught? He laughed bitterly. I've been asking you to go to counseling for 2 years, Rachel. Every time I brought it up, you said we didn't need it, that we were fine. He was right. He had asked. Multiple times. I'd always brushed it off, said we couldn't afford it or didn't have time. I'll block him right now, I said desperately. Look. I grabbed my phone and went to Nathan's contact. But when I tried to block him, I hesitated. Just for a second. Just long enough for Tyler to see. Wow, he said. You can't even do it when our marriage is on the line. No, I am. Look, I blocked Nathan's number, but it felt like ripping out a piece of my heart. It doesn't matter now, Tyler said. I've made copies of everything. Screenshots of every message, the credit card charges at that coffee shop, the cash withdrawals. My lawyer says it's more than enough. Tyler, please. 15 years. We have 15 years together. We had 15 years. You threw them away for a fantasy with your college boyfriend. He picked up his keys. I'll be at my brother's. You have until 5 to pack what you need. Emma's staying with my parents this week. I'll tell her you had to go away for work. You can't keep me from my daughter. I'm not keeping you from her. But I'm also not letting you confuse her right now. We'll work out a schedule with the lawyers. He paused at the door. For what it's worth, I know I wasn't a perfect husband. I know I let our marriage coast. But I loved you, Rachel. Even when I was checked out, I loved you. I just forgot to show it. Tyler, wait! But he was gone. I stood in our kitchen, shaking. This wasn't how it was supposed to happen. I was supposed to leave on my terms. I was supposed to be the one walking away to a better life. I unblocked Nathan's number and called him. It rang once before going to voicemail. I tried again. Same result. On the 3rd try, he answered. Rachel, what's wrong? You sound upset. Tyler knows, I sobbed. He found my phone. He knows everything. Silence. Then, everything? The messages. Our plans. All of it. He's kicking me out. He's taking Emma. Okay. Calm down. This is actually good. Now we don't have to sneak around. You can come to Columbus. We can start our life together. He has screenshots of everything. His lawyer says it's enough for adultery. Another pause. Adultery? But we haven't even, we just talked. Emotional affair. Apparently that counts. I was crying harder now. I need to pack. Can I come to your place? Just until I figure things out? Rachel. His voice had changed. This is happening really fast. Fast? We've been talking for 2 months. You said you loved me. You said to leave him. I know. And I meant it. I do love you. It's just, I didn't think it would happen like this. So messy, with lawyers involved. He sighed. My ex-wife, if she finds out I'm involved in someone else's divorce, she could use it against me. Try to get more alimony or restrict my visitation with my kids. Your kids? You never mentioned kids. It never came up. Listen, Rachel, maybe we should take a step back. Let things settle. Once your divorce is final. Are you seriously backing out now? After everything? After I just lost my family for you? You didn't lose them for me. Your marriage was already broken, you said so yourself. Because you helped me see it. Because you made me realize I deserved better. And you do deserve better. But maybe we both got caught up in the nostalgia. The fantasy of what we used to be. His voice was gentle but firm. I think we need some space to figure out what's real. Space? Nathan, I'm about to be homeless. My husband is trying to take my daughter. I'm sorry, Rachel. I really am. But I can't be involved in this right now. It's too complicated, too messy. He paused. Maybe in a few months, when everything calms down. I hung up on him. I sat on my kitchen floor and laughed. Actually laughed. Because what else could I do? I'd thrown away my marriage for a man who was already backing away at the first sign of difficulty. I'd destroyed my family for someone who couldn't even be bothered to mention he had kids. The next hours passed in a blur. I packed while calling every friend I had, trying to find a place to stay. Most didn't answer. The ones who did were Tyler's friends first, and they made that clear. I'm sorry, Rachel, but after what you did... Maybe you should have thought about this before. Tyler's a good man. He didn't deserve this. My sister agreed to let me stay, but her disapproval was palpable through the phone. I can't believe you did this, Rachel. What were you thinking? I wasn't thinking. That was the problem. I was feeling. Feeling desired, special, seen. All the things I'd been missing in my marriage. But instead of fighting for my marriage, instead of working on it, I'd run straight into a fantasy that evaporated the moment reality touched it. I tried calling Nathan again that night from my sister's guest room. This time, the number was disconnected. He'd blocked me. 2 months of I love you and we belong together, and he'd blocked me the moment things got difficult. Tyler filed for divorce the next week. His terms were generous, all things considered. Joint custody of Emma, though she'd primarily live with him to keep her in her school district. I'd get every other weekend and Wednesday nights. He'd buy out my half of the house. No alimony, but he wouldn't pursue the adultery angle if I didn't fight the custody arrangement. My lawyer said I should take it. Said it was better than I'd get if we went to trial with those messages as evidence. Emma cried when we told her, asked if it was her fault. Tyler held her and promised it wasn't. That sometimes mommies and daddies just couldn't live together anymore, but we both loved her very much. I wanted to hold her too, but she pulled away from me. Somehow, even at 10, she knew. Is it because of your friend? She asked me during my first weekend visitation. What friend, baby? The one you were always texting at night. When you smiled at your phone instead of watching movies with us. I hadn't realized she'd noticed. But children see everything, don't they? They see when their mother is mentally somewhere else. When she's choosing a fantasy over their reality. No, sweetheart, I lied. It's complicated grown-up stuff. She nodded, but I could see she didn't believe me. The divorce was final 6 months later. I got a 2-bedroom apartment across town, close enough to see Emma, but far enough that I didn't run into Tyler at the grocery store. I threw myself into work, into trying to rebuild some semblance of a life. Tyler started dating 3 months after our divorce. Sandra from his office. I'd met her at company picnics. She was everything I wasn't. Attentive, present. She showed up at Emma's soccer games and school plays. She packed elaborate lunches with little notes. She did all the things I'd stopped doing years ago. I watched from the sidelines as my daughter slowly warmed to her. Watched Sandra do the morning braiding routine I'd always been too rushed for. Watched her help with homework while I was stuck at the office. Watched Tyler look at her the way he used to look at me, back when I was still looking back. Sandra's nice, Emma told me one weekend. She makes Dad happy. That's good, baby. I'm glad. Are you happy, Mom? I looked around my sparse apartment, at the takeout containers on the counter, at the laptop where I'd been scrolling through Nathan's now public Instagram, looking at photos of him with a new girlfriend. I'm working on it, I told her. And I was. Therapy helped. Understanding how I'd confused attention for love, how I'd chosen the easy fantasy over the hard work of fixing what was broken. My therapist said I'd been looking for external validation instead of working on internal happiness. She was right. Tyler had stopped trying, yes. But so had I. Instead of fighting for our marriage, I'd found someone else to make me feel special. Instead of addressing our problems, I'd escaped into a fantasy that was always destined to crumble. I ran into Nathan a year later at a conference in Cleveland. He was with his new girlfriend, a pretty brunette who hung on his every word. He saw me and quickly looked away, pretending not to recognize me. I almost laughed. This was the man I'd destroyed my life for, this coward who couldn't even acknowledge my existence. "Rachel?" a voice behind me said. I turned to find Tyler. He was there for the same conference, looking good in a way I hadn't seen in years. He'd lost weight, gotten a better haircut. Success looked good on him. "Hi," I managed. "How are you?" I'm okay. You look good." "Thanks. Sandra got me into running. He said it without malice, just fact. You look good too." We stood there awkwardly before he glanced at his watch. "I should go. Meeting some clients." "Tyler, wait." I caught his arm. "I'm sorry. I know it's too late and doesn't change anything, but I need you to know how sorry I am, for all of it." He studied me for a moment. "I know you are." "I'm sorry too, for my part in it, for letting us drift so far apart that you felt you had to look elsewhere. You didn't make me cheat, Tyler. That was all me. No, but I didn't fight for us either. We both failed our marriage, Rachel, just in different ways." He smiled sadly. "Maybe it was always going to end. Maybe we just weren't meant for forever. Maybe not. But we had some good years." "We did. And we have Emma. That's what matters now." "How is she?" "I mean, I know how she is, but she's good, really good. Made the honor roll, still playing soccer." He hesitated. "She misses you, the everyday you, not the every other weekend you." "I miss her too, every single day." "I know." He squeezed my shoulder gently. "Take care, Rachel." "You too." I watched him walk away, back to his new life, the one that should have been mine. That night in my hotel room, I did something I'd been putting off for a year. I wrote Emma a letter. Not for now, but for when she's older, when she's facing her own relationship challenges, when she's tempted to take the easy path instead of the right one. I told her about how I'd failed, how I'd chosen fantasy over reality, how I'd looked for someone else to make me happy instead of working on my own happiness, how I'd betrayed the people who loved me most for someone who didn't love me at all. I told her that real love isn't just butterflies and excitement. It's choosing to stay when things get hard. It's fighting for your relationship instead of running to someone new. It's communicating instead of escaping. It's doing the work even when the work is hard. I sealed the letter and put it with her other important documents. Someday, when she's old enough to understand, when she's forgiven me for breaking our family, maybe it will help her avoid my mistakes. Until then, I keep rebuilding. I date occasionally, but I'm careful now. I look for substance over sparkle, reality over fantasy. I've learned that the grass isn't greener on the other side. It's greener where you water it. I just learned it too late. Sometimes, late at night, I still think about those 2 months with Nathan. Not with longing anymore, but with bewilderment. How did I let a few messages destroy everything I'd built? How did I convince myself that a fantasy was worth more than my reality? The answer is simple and pathetic. I was bored, I was neglected, I was selfish. Instead of addressing those issues, I took the coward's way out. And in the end, I lost everything that mattered for something that never really existed at all. Tyler remarried last month. Emma was a bridesmaid. She looked beautiful in her lavender dress, smiling as her father married a woman who appreciated him, who showed up for him, who chose him every day. I watched from the back row. invited but not really welcome, as the man I'd left promised to love and cherish someone else. As my daughter stood beside him, part of a new family unit that didn't include me, it should have been me up there. Would have been if I hadn't been so stupid, so selfish, so willing to throw away real love for the illusion of it. The price of yesterday's choices is today's reality, and my reality is watching the life I threw away bloom in someone else's careful hands, while I tend the barren ground I created, hoping something worthwhile might still grow. But that's the thing about consequences. They don't care about your regrets. They don't care that you've learned your lesson. They simply are. And you live with them, one day at a time, for the rest of your life.